Yeah, they talking this and that, but it's easy calling that bluff. They want that gimme, 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 but this isn't ABBA. I show up looking dapper, my mama's favorite rapper. She taught me never let a moment pass you, so I just run away, and I never look back. I hope it's what I'm hoping for. Run away, I got my backpack. Travel light, got my life inside a suitcase. Bought a ticket, I'm just trying to find a new place. What's the occasion, baby? Just another Tuesday. Okay, our life feel like a movie. Okay, it's just another Tuesday. Say that you're lonely, then send me your ID. Got nothing to hold me right where I'm at. So come and hit closely, want you to be happy. You're tired of roaming right off the map. She said I'm overzealous, she said I'm all but jealous. I probably would've said the same thing looking back. She said I'm out my melon, I never learned my lesson. I probably would've said the same thing looking back. Day one, yeah, you been my day one. When they hit me for the sauce, I gave them all that A1. Fake love, yeah, they give me fake love. You the only one I wanted with me on my way up. Can we just run away, and I never look back. I hope it's what I'm hoping for. Run away, I got my backpack. Travel light, got my life inside a suitcase. Bought a ticket, I'm just trying to find a new place. What's the occasion, baby? Just another Tuesday. Okay, our life feel like a movie. Okay, it's just another Tuesday. Say that you're lonely, then send me your ID. Got nothing to hold me right where I'm at. So come and hit closely, want you to be happy. You're tired of roaming right off the map.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to The Collective Live. This is our weekly live session where we coach inside the collective. And this week, we've decided to do more public things to kind of give you guys an experience of what it's like to be a part of the collective. And we are Shane today. We are in part 3. We have spent this week going through a word, ikigai, which I'm going to let you break down in a second to update everybody. You'll get a hint of it if you go watch part 1 and part 2 that were done Monday and Tuesday of this week. But, man, today we're going to jump into some different styles that you could fall into as an originator in this industry and really diving deep into the skill sets that each of those styles would possess, so that we can figure out where to identify ourselves so that we can ultimately make 2025 the best year we've ever had.
Yeah, so this all started with a conversation around New Year's resolutions. And I told you how much I detest doing New Year's resolutions. I feel like setting a goal without it's like writing a map and only putting the finish line on the map.
Right.
Like, what's the likelihood you're going to get there?
Yep.
And so I started to think about that for my own company and for the collective. And it really came around to this whole concept of outworking opportunities. Everyone has the same opportunities, relatively speaking. I don't want to get into a debate about, well, you were born in Tennessee and I was born in Alaska. We all really, because I could find a story of somebody in Tennessee crushing it or somebody in Alaska crushing it, in anything, really. But it's about what do those people do, those unique few who do more with the same opportunity. And so we kind of talked through the mindset around that and the little things you can do around that. And then we got into, okay, so, and I've done this, I've outworked opportunity, but I also got completely burned out and was miserable. And that's because if all you do is outwork your opportunity, but you don't do it with a real focus on a few kind of key things, you're not healthy. And that's where we kind of transitioned into this concept called ikigai, which, boiling it all down, it's what gets you up in the morning in a good way, right? Not because you're waking up going, oh my gosh, I'm so anxious and stressed, but like you're getting up, your alarm goes off and you're up before the alarm and you pop out of bed and you're like, it's another day to crush it, man. Yep. It's like you must be doing a lot of things that you like, that you're good at, that make you money, and ultimately really impact other people positively. That's ikigai. And so, okay, we acknowledge and we understand the concept of working harder than the opportunity we were provided. We understand this concept of ikigai, which if you're watching the video of this, you'll see this graphic around Ikigai. The things you love, the world needs it, you're paid for it, and you're great at it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well then what are those things, right? But before we got into that, I think a trap that a lot of people in sales fall into is they go to a coaching event, they see somebody on stage in a really cool suit with denim pants and Air Jordans. They go, man, that guy looks cool. And he does this thing and he made $1 million doing that thing. So I'm going to do that thing. But the reality is if you don't actually like that thing, you're either going to do it, and God bless you if you're consistent enough to do something you hate, you're going to be miserable. You may make money, but you'll be miserable, or you're not going to do it consistently. You'll drop and you'll say, well, that thing doesn't work. And that's because you probably haven't taken the time to understand your business identity. What are you in mortgage? Are you part-time? Are you really not quite sure what you are?
Yeah.
Right? Are you old school? Are you modern? And really, when we started to kind of break this down and we started to kind of go through these concepts, the question that comes out of that is, okay, Shane, I know I'm an old school lender. I'm an old school lender, but there are old school lenders who absolutely thrive. And there are old school lenders who we all know who absolutely really, really struggle to get through their week without just completely falling apart. And so we broke down, I teased out these 4, I think, business identities. And actually at my event, we actually had 5 identities, but I even just in this last week, I've been refining this, but it's the part-timer, it's the adaptability challenged, it's the old school, and it's the modern. And then what we talked about is this coachable, undetermined person. Like they're coachable, really undetermined in where they want to go. And then as my team was asking me how I identified, I said, I'm coachable, determined, man. I know where I'm going. And then I started thinking, you know what? What we really need to get into is the fact that there are really only 2 types of personalities in lending, old school and modern. There are part-time modern people. There are part-time old school people. There are undetermined people that are old school.
Right.
But really, there's just these 2 types of skill sets that we've got to be looking at. And the reality is there's this debate. Well, if you're not modern, you're not going to make it. Well, that's not true. Because if all you do is focus on the modern things, which we talked about, you're not flourishing in 2025. Right. And my goal for my team and for everybody on this call and ever watches this is not that this will be your best year ever. I actually don't want 25 to be your best year ever. I want 24 to be your worst year ever.
That's good.
I want every year to continue to be better than the year before. I want every year looking back to be your worst year. I want 25 to be your worst year, even though it's better than 24. And so what we want to do with our time that we have today is to actually go through some of the top skills that professional old school lenders do. And again, when we're discussing these personalities, we're not talking about the crappy old school lender. We're talking about the old school lender who's thriving. Right. Now, there's some downsides to being old school. Your ceiling might be a little bit lower. You can't scale like maybe somebody who's really dialed in with technology. But there's also downsides to being modern. Like I drop you in a room and you're probably not going to win the most likable guy award as quickly as that old school person, right? Like they're going to come home with more business cards than you are, right? So it's really what we came to the conclusion was you've got to be a combination of skills to really not only survive, but thrive and have last year your worst year and this year your best year until we get into 26. And so we kind of wanted to just break down these top skills that I've, experienced in my career, you've experienced, and the people that we've aligned with, the people that are just really successful in all. Again, they're not just defining success as somebody who makes a lot of money. That is not true success. It's not just the guy or gal who has the most apartment units. It's the person who is in Ikigai the most often, right, and really truly lives into that. And so we want to just kind of go through these old school skills, these actions that you can commit to. Because again, what I would argue is if you say, Shane, I'm old school, but I need to be more modern, then you need to do more modern skills with consistency. Those are the commitments that you make. If you're modern, but you go, I did that last year and it worked, but the relationships didn't last I had to continue to build new ones. I need to be more personable. I need to be building stronger, deeper relationship. I need to be a little more old school. Then you need to be doing more old school actions with consistency to now lean into that identity. It's like you can't just claim to be something. You have to be it to claim it.
That's
And
right.
so that's what we want to really go through today, is just these skills and kind of teach you the blocking and tackling behind it, so that your resolutions can become commitments, can become actions. And the goal is it just happens. Your resolutions, you say, I want to make this amount of money. At the end of the year, I want to take a trip. That just becomes the easy part, not the hard part.
So when we look at Old School First, and you think about, like, you can probably picture who you see as the old school lender that is still doing well in this industry. What's the first skill set that comes to mind?
Yeah, they're really good at FaceTime. Now, we use that term FaceTime because that could encompass several different skills. It could be speaking publicly. It could be teaching classes. It could be one-on-ones. It could be a combination of. But because again, I can find an LO. In fact, we had one on who does in-person classes. He crushes it. He moved states, continued to crush it. So the people saying can't do it in my market, he just obliterated that excuse.
Right.
I also know there's some people that crush one-on-ones and never public speak because they're not good at it.
Yeah.
So again, but the old school people who have more FaceTime have a greater likelihood of winning more often and increasing that paycheck and making last year their worst year ever.
Well, and I think the individual has to figure out what style of FaceTime works for them. Right. And when we say FaceTime, your mind may go to like FaceTime on an Apple phone. What we're talking about is what we used to call belly to belly. I love to get belly to belly to people. I love to get shoulder to shoulder. I love to sit across the table. What that person is really saying is, get me in front of somebody face to face, and I'm going to win that opportunity.
Yep.
And so whether it's one-on-ones or teaching classes, those are all ways. And we've got to look at this diagram that Ikigai provides us and go, well, I do like teaching. I do feel like an educator. Actually, I taught school for a few years when I was in my 20s. So like, I know that like that DNA is in me. Well, guess what? You might get closer to your Ikigai by saying in 2025, I'm going to lean in. I'm going to go find a title company to partner with, and I'm going to teach every month some sort of class to get in front of more buyers, more realtor partners. That's what people need to be thinking through.
Yeah, and we actually went through this on a full training just about organic lead generation, about how to teach in-person classes. When it comes to doing one-on-ones, I got really effective at doing those when I learned that people want to talk.
Yeah.
Not as much as they want to listen.
Yeah.
And so what you shouldn't do is go in with your flyer of all your benefits, talking about like what makes you the best lender for that. Because again, what you're doing is you're going into that conversation trying to take, not trying to give. And so when you listen, you're saying, Kyle, tell me more about yourself. Like, and again, it's not to say that you can't have an agenda. You do. Your agenda is to build a relationship with somebody that keeps you in Ikigai, right? So again, if I have relationships with people that I just absolutely detest, it's hard for me to be in Ikigai, right? So this is building relationships with people you like to grow your business, to have them start to refer to you, but they're not going to refer to people that don't do something beneficial for them.
Right.
And everybody wants to be listened to more. So you're asking a lot of questions and then just zipping it and letting them talk. Now you might be taking notes. And so I would go into this with my new favorite toy, a Rocketbook. So a Rocketbook is a low cost version of like a Remarkable or something like that. And it's a higher cost version of a yellow notepad. So it is erasable ink notepads that you can capture on their app, and it converts it to a PDF. And so this is really cool. So I'm sitting with Kyle. I'm saying, Kyle, man, first and foremost, like, thanks for taking time, man. It's been really cool to see your journey online. It's been really cool to hear about your journey from friends. It's been really cool to hear your journey just as I've been in the industry a long time. I'd love to know a little bit more about you. Now, they may come into that asking a lot of questions. Your job is to continue to turn it back to them. It's like, again, if you're on a blind date, the less you talk, the more you listen, probably the better, right? And so that's a really important skill when you're doing these one-on-ones, but you do need to have things that you can follow up with to start to show your value. And that's where that Rocketbook, that notepad comes into play. So I say, Kyle, tell me a little bit more about yourself. And Kyle might be assuming I'm saying in business. So he's like, well, I've been a real estate agent for 20 years, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm saying, what's that been like for you? You go, well, I love it, but here's my challenges I'm currently having, and I'm taking notes. Oh, I can help solve challenges, right? And so I'm listening, I'm taking notes. My job is to come away with at least 3 things I can follow up with over the next 3 weeks. And so then the follow-up first and foremost is, hey, Kyle, thanks for meeting. It was really cool to get to know you. Because again, I've asked questions, I've gotten to know you. And I'm saying, hey, like you mentioned that the number one thing that you're dealing with right now is the following. Hey, I have a solution for that. Here's a concept. Here's a thought. Here's an idea. Watch this video, listen to this script, whatever the case may be. Maybe we need to have coffee again. And what's interesting is as I'm explaining this old school tactic, you can see how it already starts to cross over into the modern. Right. And that's, then they go, wow, that's really cool. Shane heard me. He valued my time and who I am, and he followed up. They're more likely to give you a referral just off of that. Right. Yep. And then again, the next week, and then again, the next week. Now, if you're really doing this at a high level, you're also looking for what I have coined opportunity alerts. So as you're talking and I'm writing down notes about the challenges you face in your business, and I'm putting notes on paper to help you address those, I'm listening. Kyle's got 3 kids. Oh, Kyle met his wife at Oklahoma State University. Oh, okay. He's a big fan of the Dallas Mavericks. Oh, okay. He used to be a pastor. And I'm going home, and my number one job after sending a follow-up saying, hey, thank you, right? I hear you, is then to come up with some kind little like gesture that I can send him. And it could be as simple as the next day the Dallas Mavericks win their basketball game, and I know his favorite player is Luka. So I go, hey, man, I send him a text message or I send him an email with a GIF or whatever. It's like, hey, congrats. I know that the Dallas Mavericks are like your favorite team of all time. What a game. That's a personal touch because there was an opportunity to engage with Kyle outside of what we had originally intended to meet for.
Right.
And we talk about FaceTime as being the number one thing to do because it has the greatest likelihood of generating future business the quickest, right? Because now what I've also done is we call it this law of reciprocation. The more I do that at a high level, Kyle like almost feels like naturally his arm is being twisted to send me something of value. Right. And he's probably not as good at that as I am because I've been training at this and I'm meeting with hundreds of agents doing this. He's like, man, what's the best way in my industry to make, Shane feel valued? Send him a referral. And it becomes almost a natural byproduct of listening, asking questions, being inquisitive, and then following up with thought, care, and value.
It's huge. There's also a little tactic here. When I was in a coaching program years and years ago with his name's Michael Mayer. He's the most referred real estate agent on the planet. And he wrote 7 Levels of Communication. And part of his strategy is he would talk about when you're meeting with people to have home field advantage. And so if there's a place that you enjoy, it's a coffee shop, it's a breakfast, lunch, brunch spot, that you have all your meetings at the same place. Number one, it's more efficient for you. But then number 2, he would stack them in 30-minute increments. So he'd meet with 6 to 8 people a day, a couple days a week. And he would be intentional with them based on wanting certain of them to meet others as one's leaving and one's showing up. And so then now you're creating these web of relationships that the only reason they know each other now is because they each know you. And so every time they're together, they're going to naturally think about you. And like that's what sales is how often can I get people to think about me without me coming off as like the douchey sales guy?
Well, and what I love about that strategy is if nothing else, even if the people don't like meet other people, they're walking in, they see you, they come over and I say, hey, just Go talk to Julie at the register. Julie's got a tab open for me. I'll
Right.
tell you that the pumpkin spice mocha is really good here.
Yeah.
Julie will take care of you. Julie goes, oh, and you've talked to Julie. You say, Julie, do me a favor. I'm going to meet here a lot. This is my place of business to grow my business. I love you guys. I'm going to shower you with, I'm going to consume a lot of your goods and services. Would you do me a favor? When you meet the people that I'm bringing in, would you just give them a little extra person? And I know you do a phenomenal job. Would you give them a little extra personal touch? Would you say, hey, oh, what's your name? Oh, hey, Kyle, nice to meet you. Like if you're meeting Shane, you're going to have a great day. You know, like something cool. Like you're winning. It's not just home field advantage. You're cheating. You've won before that person's even sat down, because if you're doing one-on-ones, you're doing reminders in advance, you're sending a text saying, see you in an hour. If you forgot the address, here it is. Like you're doing all these other things, which is a whole class in itself. Right. But you're winning. And again, we're glossing over these bigger meetings, these bigger FaceTimes, because we taught a whole class on this.
Right.
But a lot of these same things will work if you're teaching classes. The difference is there, you are talking more, you are listening less. And the goal there is to literally just, without breaking compliance laws, you're not actually doing this, but figuratively putting $100 bill in front of each of them.
Right.
Right. And then 15 minutes later, giving them another $100 figuratively. And then another 15 minutes later, giving them another $100. They go, wow, this guy's giving me so much value. Again, it's all about that law of reciprocation. The difference is now I'm going, okay, what does an agent need? They want money. They need or want more money. They need or want more leads, referrals, et cetera. To get that money, I should teach them things that help them get more of what they need. And if I do that in a really cool way, they want to reciprocate with me. And then that bigger meeting probably turns into a one-on-one. That one-on-one probably turns into an invitation to your next class or your next happy hour, your next brewery, your next, like wine event that you do, whatever, BNI meeting, whatever. And again, that's what's so cool about the old school person doing it right. They're not doing one old school activity. They're doing multiple old school activities, and they're all interconnected. Oh, I got this class and you're going to see Bob there, and let's go grab coffee later to talk through the strategy in more depth, right? That's what's exciting. And that's why this is the number one thing old school people who do it right should be doing. Second, you got to be on the phone. Like if you see somebody old school who has gone from zero to hero year over year, the great likelihood is they are making a lot of phone calls and talking to a lot of people.
And that doesn't mean that they're cold calling through a database. It just means that they're always talking to people.
Yeah, and there's a lot of ways you can do this. So if you're sitting there saying, I don't know who to call and I don't want to call somebody I don't know, a great excuse, and I've used this script often, is we're going a little modern here, but take your Facebook friends and say, hey, you can find their phone numbers, or just go through your phone and call everyone in your phone. Go alphabetical order, call the first 5 people, go to A, call the first 5 people. And if you do that for, let's say, take 30 minutes, call 5 people, and you say, hey, Kyle, it's Shane. And Kyle's like, Shane. Yeah, it's Shane Kidwell over at Dwell Mortgage. It's Shane Kidwell from, University of Washington. It's Shane Kidwell from Linwood High School. It's Shane Kidwell from the Seattle Fire Department. Like, find all the different walks of life that you've traveled.
Yeah.
And call those people. And then you say, hey, man, how are you? And Kyle goes, good, man. It's been a long time. You go, yeah. I made a commitment. I sat down at the end of the year and I asked myself, how could I wake up every day with a little extra energy, pep in my step? Quote, what we're not telling them, maybe we are, is ikigai, right?
Right.
And I go, and what I realized, Kyle, was that I need to get back to connecting with people from my past, people that had an impact. And I still have your phone number in my phone, which means I didn't delete it. And so, man, how are you? Like, how's life? I want to get, COVID was a funky time for me, and I just didn't do a great job of intentionally staying in touch with people. How are you, man? And then you shut up. And they either go, well, man, I'm super busy. Well, no worries, man. Like, I'll call you back another day. Right. And then you go down to the next person on your list. What you will find just by saying, I dropped the ball, I haven't been a great friend, I haven't been a good ex-coworker, is like, again, it's that law of reciprocation. They feel obligated to tell you that you're doing an okay job. Right. You go, I've just dropped the ball. And I did this with a friend. I have a bunch of college roommates that I dropped the ball on. Life got in, like, really got like kind of took over. And I had some college roommates that I just didn't do a good job following up with. One day I just reached out to a bunch of them. And now one of those guys, we were like best friends for a season in college.
Yep.
I'm like, what kind of guy am I when one of my best friends from a season in life, I don't talk to anymore? Moved to LA, became an attorney. I have a house down in Palm Springs. I'm like, hey man, I'll be in Palm Springs. I've done this 4 times in a row. I'll be in Palm Springs these days. Would love to see you. Couldn't do it the first 3 times. 4th time, he's like, dude, I'm in. He drove from LA over to my place in Palm Springs for like an afternoon. Brought some really sweet gifts for my daughter. And I said to him, I'm sitting there, lawn chair to lawn chair, looking over this little lake in Palm Springs. And I'm saying, dude, I just realized that I haven't been a great friend. And I didn't put enough effort and intentionality into following up with people like you. And I'm sorry. And man, like, how are you doing? And you'll be amazed what comes out of those phone calls.
Yeah.
And you can certainly do that in person, but and again, that's just one of many excuses to call people.
Yep.
You could certainly call people in business and be like, hey, wanted to invite you to an event I have going on. Again, as long as when you call, you're forcing either like a big hug or $100 bill through the phone, they're going to stay on the phone and they're going to take your call the next time.
But here's to me, the kicker. And can you fake this for an amount of time? Yes. But like, you have to genuinely want to reconnect with people, right? Like if your motive really is, man, I'm just trying to close more loans and some guy gave me this idea. And so I'm just kind of faking it till I make it. Like, those people will see through you. You will be very disingenuous. And so you really, I mean, you have to be a good person, right? Like you have to have this heart for people for this to work, or for you to do it beyond 3 days and then you're exhausted from it. And so, you know, it might take a little heart work for some people that are paying attention right now.
Remember, this is all predicated that the first 2 parts of this you guys have watched and agreed to and acknowledged. To be in true Ikigai, you have to also focus on things that the world needs. Like, that's one of the components. And me checking in with a buddy that I haven't really given a lot of my energy or focus to, like, that was, if somebody did that to me, I know how that would make me feel, right? So again, and then like, I know this is going to be a longer call than we had intended, Kyle, and that's all good. Yeah. But like, then a part of this too is just getting into like handwritten notes, and same strategy. Hey, how are you? Thank you for meeting. Miss you. Let's get together. Come to my class. Happy car wash day. I know, Shane, that you love car washes. I had somebody, I still to this day don't know who it was. This was years ago, and like social media wasn't as much of a thing. They sent me a coupon for like several car washes. And I was like, and that made me feel phenomenal. First off, somebody like listened to me enough that they knew that I enjoyed getting a good car wash. Growing up, my dad would take me to the Brown Bear car wash. That was like a positive memory from my childhood. Yeah. I like in business as a lender, you oftentimes don't feel the result of your work. You are on to the next deal, and you go through a car wash, you come out and you feel clean. And I like that. Somebody did that for me. That felt really, really cool.
Well, there are 2 things that I'm thinking of. One is there's this phrase called surprise and delight. And I'm trying to remember where I originally found it. It may have been in like a book about gifting. Like, I think it may be Giftology. But the author talked about like, we should be surprising and delighting people. And the cool part about that is none of that costs money. Yeah. Surprising someone, you know, doesn't mean that like somebody gave you a $500 gift card to a car wash, right? Like, it could have been $7 off each time you go, but it was the intentionality of the thought, which proved to you that they were listening. But then there's this guy, one of my favorite books is called Blue Fishing by Steve Sims. He's this British dude, bald, earrings, like wild looking guy that has been so incredibly successful. And one of the things that he talked about doing is like, he could be on the road in a hotel room and he's looking at the paper menu that they've put in his room for room service, and he thinks about Shane. And so he rips the menu in half, and on the back of it, he writes you a handwritten note. And so you look at it and you're like, is that a menu on the other side of this? And he just talks about how like we almost have to prove to people now that what we're doing is real.
Yeah.
This isn't fake. This isn't fabricated, because we're so used to automation everywhere. We have to go out of our way to make people feel like it's real. That's why I love video, because it's still truly hard to fake people out on video for too long. But this is,
don't go too modern now. Don't go too modern.
Sorry, I'm getting excited.
Well, no, and this is really, it's such a good point, because if somebody would have gone through that car wash, they know that at the end you get a free air freshener. They could have just sent me the air freshener.
Sure.
And it would have actually had the same impact. And again, outworking opportunity is not doing more than you need to, but doing enough, right? Yeah. It's saying like, I want Shane to feel good. You don't need to spend $100. You could spend no dollars and get a free air freshener. And I would have had the same feeling. That's outworking opportunity. And last on this old school list, and we got to get rolling. And again, like part of what's fun about this is this.
We're the bosses. We can roll as long as we want.
Well, we got we got to go through all the modern stuff. But part of what's cool about this is, guys, reach out to us. Like, you have opportunities to do some one-on-one coaching if you'd like to really refine even one of these things, because what you're probably realizing is you just haven't been thoughtful enough about the actions that you're committing to doing. You say, I'm going to call people, but you're not thoughtful. You're just calling people, or you're reading a script that a coach gave you, but you're not actually thinking through the psychology of the call. So there's opportunities for that if you guys would like to. Fourth, we call this personal updates. And a personal update is really, it could be a bunch of different things, but this is that opportunity during the process and moments that would be impactful of personally reaching out to somebody. And I say that because it doesn't have to be once you're under contract on a deal. It could be the pre-approval. It could be somebody that for 16 months has been in credit repair, and you get the notification that their credit's improved enough to be able to get pre-approved. It's a memorable moment. And you're reaching out to them saying, hey, Kyle, congrats. You know, your loan was just approved. And then you pause and they're like, what? And I go, yeah, I know we've worked for 12 months and you thought you'd never be able to afford a home. So dude, I might be more excited than you know? And like, my wife just got a new job. So she moved schools. She was at a school. She then got moved to a different school. And the first day she was at her new school, it was almost like my kid went to school for the first time. I'm checking in like, how was the day? How was your day? What was it like? Who are the people? Man, if you just have that mentality going into these conversations, like, hey man, I'm super excited. Your loan was approved. Do you know how cool this is? Right? Yeah. Like you're treating these people like they actually matter, not just what you say online. Like these can be really impactful. And so, yeah, it might be a phone call. It might be you could write a handwritten card, but these are better done over the phone. And then again, if we get into the modern, we'll talk about doing these through video, but these are really impactful. And I've gone so far as to coach my team that every week you should do this on Wednesday. Every Wednesday, you take all of your active loans and you take everyone on every active loan and you call them. And I call these just like, these are just your mortgage updates, but really what they become, I call it a stress check, because we have a lot of automation to be like, hey, congrats, your loan's approved. And they're cool. Like, our automations are actually pretty fun. We put emojis in the text. We have cool emails with evergreen videos and other stuff we're doing. Yeah. But when I'm calling it, they're like, I just got an email from you an hour ago. And I go, I know you did. I committed to calling you every Wednesday. One of the things, Kyle, I know being a listing agent in this market is it's super stressful. And so I also want to make sure that like that email I sent actually made sense. Yeah, it made sense. Well, cool. Outside of the deal that's going to close a week early that I've been, communicating to you, well, is there anything else going on right now in your life that I could help with? And again, if you're thinking about Ikigai, this is something that the world needs more of. How can I help you?
Right.
And I'll tell you, when I got into lending and I got coached, I started to grow. I hit top 1%, like 6 years in a row. But what my coach didn't focus on was Ikigai. He focused on, you like it, you're good at it, and it makes you money. I was having these calls and I was moving through them so quick. I wasn't really listening to the voice behind the voice. Right. And I had a guy who was just such a pain in the butt on a deal. And I called him like, hey man, congrats. We're at this stage. And he goes, and actually the stage we were in wasn't a great stage. Like, we needed more documents. And he'd been kind of a pain in the butt. And I'm like, hey man, is there something going on I can help with? You seem stressed. And he goes, I am. Well, I had forgotten that the whole deal was predicated on him being able to rent out his current house and taking the money from the rent and using that to help him qualify. He couldn't find a renter. And so, and I just so happened to have 3 rental properties and had just got in with a really good resource locally that helped you with landlord tenant stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, man, why didn't you like tell me, hey, can I send you A, B, and C? And he was like huge sigh of relief over the phone. And that's all it took. So that's an example of a personal update. I've taken that. And again, like you can do something. Everyone has the opportunity to call people. If you want to outwork that opportunity, call them and make it a stress check. Call them and do something personal. Call them and make it fun.
So good.
Call them and make it funny. Call them and be empathetic, and you'll take that to the next level.
It's so good. Shane, I'm wondering if we shouldn't hit pause right here and come back tomorrow with part 4, where we talk about the modern side.
We need to. So guys, this was going to be 4 parts. It's now going to be 5. This is all based about making last year your worst year ever. And instead of doing business planning, which is garbage, sorry, I think it, for the most part, I think it is. And not because the people doing it are garbage, but if you don't drill down to who you are and whether or not you like that identity, I sat down with my team of 7 originators, and most of them were like, I am unidentified. I have no idea who I am. I said, how's that make you feel? And then the ones that said, I'm old school. Do you like being old school? How's that working for you? And again, it's not right or wrong, because people might be like, well, Shane, you're just modern. I'm not. I'm old school in some ways. I'm modern in others. Yeah. I'm a blend, right? And that's what the reality is. That's what the best originators who can make it in any market are. They're a blend. But the reality is if you agree that you are somebody who can work hard, like hard work brings about a lot of luck, right? Opportunity breeds opportunity. Then you got to get into this flow state. The flow state is where you're like, dude, everything I do, I feel blessed to do it. It makes me money. I enjoy it. It allows me to hire people to do the things I hate doing. Like when I do the things I like and it makes me money and I'm good at it, other people are blessed by that, which makes the other 3 things feel even better. Right. Then you're an ikigai. Then you got to go, man, I got to do more of that, or I got to do new things. Or maybe you're saying, I want to get to ikigai, so let me do the actions that will get me to that place. I want to be more old school. I want to be more modern. Start doing those actions. So part 4, we're going to do exactly what we did today, but for the modern originator. And as we did today, that other identity will creep into the conversation as it should. And then part 5, spoiler alert, we're going to discuss and break down the things that will get in the way of all of this becoming true.
Yep.
And the things that will help you make this a reality.
And so, like we've told you before, if you're looking for community, if you need accountability, if you need it, we all need accountability. If you want a group of people to run alongside, you can go to thecollectivecoaching.com. You can check out why we exist, what we're about, the desires we have to pour into you guys, and come be a part of what we're doing. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging.
One more thing.
One more.
You set me up, and so I'm going to do something that I wasn't planning on doing. Okay. I used Perplexity AI Pro yesterday to pull down a statistic that is irrefutable, and I want you all to hear this.
Okay.
You too. Me too. Okay. A study by the Association for Talent Development, referenced in an article by the Association for Financial Counseling and Planning, provided some goals and some insights around goal completion. So very large institution did a study on goal completion. The probability of completing a goal was 95% when the individual had an accountability partner that they met with regularly.
Wow.
The probability of completing a goal was 65% when an individual made a commitment to someone else. The probability was 25% when an individual had an action plan, but no accountability partner. And the probability of completing a goal was 10% when an individual had a goal, resolution, no plan, and no accountability partner.
Mm.
So the reality is, I'm hoping by the time we're done with this, we get you up to 65%.
Yeah.
You have a 65% probability of completing your goals that you set out for the year. And then the difference between that 65 and that 95, that gap is getting with somebody regularly who has done what you want to do successfully and is on the other side of that.
So good.
Guys, we'll see you again for part 4. Thank you. We'll see you on the other side.
Bye, everybody.